Everything changes in a matter of seconds in this league. A blown coverage, a perfect spiral, a sudden, devastating injury. But the foundation of a true empire, that isn't built in a matter of seconds. It's meticulously, painstakingly forged in the shadows. Welcome to NFL Nexus. I'm your host, and today we're pulling back the curtain on an off-season explainer that feels a lot more like a high-stakes chess match than your typical summer in the National Football League. We are looking deep inside the 2026 Houston Texans. We're going to examine the physiological evolution of a franchise quarterback and the sudden, totally chaotic reemergence of a highly lethal offensive weapon. The pieces are moving. The board is set. So let's dive into this.
It's a question every single fan asks, right? And honestly, it's one every dynasty has to answer. Where are championships actually won? Well, I can tell you right now, they aren't won under the bright stadium lights in January. No way. They're not won in front of 80,000 screaming fans. They are won right now. They're won in the grueling, quiet, punishing isolation of the offseason, in the empty, echoing weight rooms, in the silent, obsessive film sessions, in those moments when absolutely nobody is watching. And for the Houston Texans, this specific offseason has taken on a level of gravity that we just rarely see in the modern era of the sport. To really understand exactly where the Texans are going, we have to deeply acknowledge where they just were. The 2025 season, it didn't end with a parade down the streets of Houston. It ended with a sour, dreary, agonizing conclusion. And the psychological weight of that finish, it's lingered over the entire facility like a heavy, dark cloud. When you have the sheer volume of talent that this roster possesses, falling short doesn't just sting, it burns. It sears into the mind of every player and coach in that building. It forces a complete, exhaustive internal audit. Actually, you could say that bitter finish was the undeniable catalyst for everything that is happening right now in Houston. It was the exact moment the franchise realized that being just good is no longer acceptable. The standard has to be absolute greatness, and the pursuit of that greatness, well, it starts at the very top.
So let's get into part one, rebuilding the franchise quarterback.
When we talk about CJ Stroud heading into 2026, we can no longer just talk about him as a player. We really need to look at him as a weapon that is currently being recalibrated, like a supercomputer actively upgrading its own hardware. Stroud has taken the sour ending of 2025, completely internalized it, and locked himself away to prepare for a season that will permanently alter the trajectory of his career. And that brings us to year 4 in the National Football League. Year 4. It is literally the crucible. It's this critical, unforgiving period where a rookie contract transitions into a legacy-defining statement season. This is the ultimate make-or-break moment. By the end of this year, front offices decide if they're handing over generational, franchise-crippling wealth or if they're looking in another direction. Normally, the noise surrounding a Year 4 contract extension is deafening. It breaks lesser players. But CJ Stroud? He's operating on a completely different frequency right now.
Stroud has implemented 3 core non-negotiable directives for 2026. Step 1, acknowledge the end of 2025. He isn't running from the pain of that loss. He's actually letting it fuel every single rep. Step 2, block out the contract extension noise. While analysts and agents are out there screaming across television networks about hundreds of millions of dollars, Stroud has gone completely dark, total radio silence on the subject. He knows the money is going to follow the product on the field. He isn't distracted by the business, he is completely consumed by the craft. And step 3, re-weld the physical machine. He's keeping his head down and systematically, ruthlessly leveling up his body. He isn't just training, he is undergoing a complete physical transformation.
Which brings us to part 2, the cost of greatness.
Look, we all know Stroud has the generational arm talent. We know he has the elite processing speed. But in today's fiercely competitive NFL, talent alone just isn't enough to survive anymore, let alone conquer. The extreme length Stroud is going to behind the scenes right now, it proves that he intimately understands this reality. He is paying the toll that greatness demands, and it's a toll paid entirely in physical sacrifice. Just listen to this insider intel from ESPN's DJ BNI. Read these words carefully. He's gotten rid of sugary food, got rid of carbs. All he really drinks is water and lean food. That's how he's been able to slim down. Just let that sink in for a second. Think about the sheer, unyielding discipline required for a young man in his early 20s, surrounded by immense wealth and temptation, to completely strip away every single dietary comfort. This isn't just a diet, guys. This is a complete biological reprogramming.
He has completely left behind the quick comforts. The sugars, the empty carbs, the processed meals, they're just gone. His new reality is stark, focused, and incredibly purposeful. Just water, lean protein, relentless optimization. We are talking about meticulously scrutinizing every single calorie that enters his system. He's chiseling away any excess weight to ensure that the machine operating the Texans' offense runs at absolute, undeniable peak efficiency. The gym work is brutal, yes, but the discipline in the kitchen, the mental fortitude required to deny yourself daily, that is where the true battle of the offseason is being fought, day after exhaustive day.
And the biological impact of this evolution is absolutely staggering. By shedding this excess weight, Stroud is unlocking an entirely new tier of mobility. And by replacing that with dense, lean muscle, he's reinforcing his frame to withstand the punishing durability required in a grueling 17-game gauntlet. This isn't just about looking good in a uniform. This changes the actual physical geometry of the Texans' offense. A leaner, faster Stroud means extended plays. It means escaping collapsing pockets by just a fraction of a second. It means creating entirely new throwing lanes out of thin air. It creates a terrifying reality for opposing pass rushers who genuinely thought they had his timing mathematically solved.
But here's the thing. A quarterback, even one as gifted as Stroud, cannot evolve in a vacuum. The organization has to adapt and fortify the walls around him. And the Texans have made highly critical shifts to ensure Stroud's physical gains translate perfectly to tactical execution on Sundays. Jerry Shuplinski has been elevated to quarterbacks coach. This is a deeply targeted move designed entirely to stabilize and nurture Stroud's growth, ensuring the communication between the headset and the helmet is flawless. Furthermore, the offensive line is actively taking a necessary, demanding step forward from their 2025 form. They're focusing on the microscopic details of pad level and footwork to give Stroud those extra half seconds he desperately needs. And the backfield support? It's evolving to become a more dynamic safety valve. The entire Houston ecosystem is being meticulously fine-tuned to support and protect the new, fully optimized version of their franchise cornerstone. Now, before we move on to the massive, league-altering plot twist that just hit the NFL landscape, I need you to pause. If you want to truly understand the game beneath the game, the deep, nuanced analysis of how football is actually won and lost in the shadows, you need to be part of this community. Subscribe to NFL Nexus right now. Like this explainer, drop a comment below with your raw thoughts on Stroud's radical physical transformation. And if you want to take your football knowledge a step further, support the channel by becoming a member. We are actively building an exclusive community of hardcore fans who demand far more than just surface-level headlines. So join us.
All right, part 3, the Stefon Diggs variable.
Because surface-level headlines cannot capture the gravity of what is happening next. Just as the Texans are meticulously organizing their young roster, a chaotic, massive variable has suddenly crashed into the free agency market. A plot twist that could entirely rewrite the balance of power in the AFC. To understand why Stefon Diggs is suddenly the focal point of the league again, we must impartially and factually look at the legal saga that defined his recent months. In December of 2025, Diggs faced incredibly serious legal charges, which included felony strangulation, misdemeanor assault, and battery. This placed an immediate, indefinite pause on his NFL future. However, the legal outcome has now been thoroughly finalized. Earlier this week, Stefon Diggs was officially found not guilty on all counts. As a direct result of this definitive verdict, the NFL has lifted its pause. His status is cleared. He is instantly reactivated, and he is aggressively looking for a new home.
Let's track this timeline, because it's a wild ride, and it builds a picture of absolute, undeniable on-field resilience. In 2024, Diggs was starring right here in Houston, completely in sync with the offense, before suffering a devastating ACL tear. A lot of critics thought that was the beginning of the bitter end. But in 2025, he signed with the New England Patriots and engineered a massive, defiant bounce-back season. He proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that his body could still withstand the sheer violence of the sport. Now, in May of 2026, fully cleared from his legal hurdles, he hits the free agent market, not as a broken veteran, but as a seasoned, highly motivated weapon with a massive chip on his shoulder.
So that brings us to part 4, a high-stakes Houston reunion.
This is literally the million-dollar question currently echoing through the tense, quiet halls of the Texans facility right now. Does a 33-year-old veteran actually fit into Houston's newly optimized, youth-driven master plan? Can the past be seamlessly integrated into the future? Well, if you have any lingering doubts about what Stefon Diggs brings to the table, just look at the cold, hard statistics from his 2025 stint in New England. Over 1,000 receiving yards, 85 receptions, 4 touchdowns, and most importantly, 100% health status post-ACL surgery. Look, these are not the numbers of a declining decoy. These are the metrics of a hyper-lethal elite route runner who can still dissect and humiliate defensive secondaries at will. He proved in New England that his physical tools, his breaks, and his releases are still incredibly sharp.
But what makes the Houston connection so incredibly terrifying for the rest of the league is the existing undeniable chemistry. In his 8 games in Houston back in 2024, before his injury, under Bobby Slowick's complex offensive system, Diggs was averaging nearly 6 catches and 62 yards a game. He ranked first on the team in receptions per game and second in yards. He and CJ Stroud already know each other's rhythms. They already know the silent adjustments. They have already shared the exact same battlefield. There's absolutely no learning curve here. There is only immediate, explosive reignition.
Now, let's heavily scrutinize the current 2026 Texans arsenal. The front office made moves. They swapped out Christian Kirk. They brought in Lewis Bond in the 6th round. You have Jaden Higgins returning and Jalen Noel actively developing. It's a room absolutely overflowing with promising electric youth. But youth can be volatile in the cold, unforgiving pressure of the postseason. Adding a veteran with the steady hands, the icy veins, and the ruthless experience of Stefon Diggs to this specific group, it could transform a very good receiving core into an absolutely unstoppable multi-dimensional nightmare for opposing defensive coordinators.
And finally, Part 5. The league is on notice. All the tactical pieces fit perfectly, right? The quarterback is peaking physically, dedicating his entire life to the craft. The receiver's legally cleared and statistically proven to still be an absolute monster. But in the NFL, tactics are only half the battle. The only thing standing in the way of this reunion is the cold, unforgiving reality of NFL economics. $69 million. Just say that number out loud. Let it sit in the air for a second. This is the massive 3-year deal Stefon Diggs signed with the Patriots just last offseason. Even if it wasn't fully guaranteed, that astronomical figure sets a terrifying precedent for his perceived market value. When a player of his caliber hits the open market, his representatives are naturally going to use his previous lucrative contracts as the absolute baseline for negotiations. That's just how the business works.
Now compare that massive figure to this one, $19 million. That is the Houston Texans' currently available cap space. The stark contrast between those two figures instantly demonstrates the incredibly precarious financial tightrope the front office has to walk right now. They have a little flexibility, sure, but not nearly enough to pay an exorbitant market-resetting premium on an aging veteran without dangerously sacrificing critical depth elsewhere on the roster. Every dollar spent on the perimeter is a dollar pulled away from the trenches.
And that leaves us with the negotiation ultimatum. On one hand, paying a massive premium contract for a receiver about to turn 33 is simply mathematically impossible for Houston. Because of their extensive summer spending on free agents and internal extensions, that door is nailed firmly shut. On the other hand, there's a team-friendly short-term deal specifically structured for a chance to win a Super Bowl ring. Honestly, this is the only realistic path forward. Stefon Diggs is going to have to make a profound choice here. Does he try to squeeze the maximum payout from some desperate, middle-of-the-pack team somewhere else? Or does he look at a physically evolved, hyper-focused CJ Stroud, deeply recognize the closing window of opportunity, and choose legacy over leverage?
That is the ultimate defining question hanging over the 2026 offseason. A franchise quarterback completely transforming his body in the grueling silence of the gym. A controversial, undeniably elite weapon suddenly thrust back onto the chessboard. A brilliant front office calculating every single penny against the unforgiving salary gap. The pieces are moving, and the rest of the league is on notice. Make sure you are subscribed to NFL Nexus to see exactly how this high-stakes chess match unfolds. I'll catch you in the next explainer.